I had been working as a therapist in town or just outside of town for a number of years, a couple years. And something that I continued to see is just such financial burdens and barriers that came for people when they sought out therapy. And these were people with good insurance, working full time, had good jobs with good insurance. And they were still burdened by just the financial side that comes with seeking therapy, the fees that are there, the lack of coverage with insurance, the confusion that came with insurance, and is this covered or is it not, and what does covered actually mean? And so I just saw it time and time again with several different families and individuals, kids, adults, couples, all of it. And it just got to the point for me where I was like, this is a bit ridiculous. These people are genuinely trying to help themselves and seek true healing for themselves. And it's not that they don't want to, it's not that they've not prioritized the time, and it's not that they're not willing to invest in themselves. It's just a complete inability. It's almost adding more stress to them, which makes the healing process harder. And so, it was just an idea of like, what if we could just remove that financial barrier and completely alleviate the burden and meet people where they are truly. It was just like what if we could do that? And even at the time, and I would even say now, I don't know, especially at the time, I didn't know how we could do that, but like just the what if we could? And it's like, yeah, I think we could, let's do it. Even though I don't know how we're going to do that. It just kind of started rolling from there. And I would even say, so that was probably, 2021 is around when I started realizing I started experiencing, I guess, along with my clients, the financial burden that was there. But even a few years before that, when I was in my graduate program doing my internships and stuff, there was a single moment when I was with a young boy and his mom, and I was doing a session with them. We were at a public library, and I was supervising a visitation between this young boy and his biological mom. And there was just like this overwhelming like vision in my mind and like emotion that came over my heart of like exactly this was a success story. This young boy and his mom, but exactly this connection that they're having, and the leaps and bounds that this mother had made in her therapy to be able to be the mom that the little boy needed and deserved, like seeing it work, seeing therapy work, and seeing that like the fruit of it was like, this is what I want to do. Like, this is the kind of progress I want to walk people through, the kind of healing I want to walk with people through to get to this point. And it was that moment, that was in 2019. I remember it was November of 2019. And it overwhelmed me of like, the system rarely works, to be honest, but the connection I had with that mom and being able to work with her and that little boy, to get to that point was just like, okay, this is it. This is therapy. This is helping. This is healing. This is it. This is the sweet spot. And so I've always remembered that. And so when I would have those moments with my clients back then, and even today, it's like a good solid grounding reminder of like, finances shouldn't determine if we can ever get to this point with this level of healing with people. And so it's just continued motivation, even now, 5.5 years ago, where it's like, no, that's what we're striving for, that level of connection, that level of transformation and healing that family got to experience. Yeah. So the first steps, the initial steps that it took to start the Freedom Center. I have a background in my bachelor's in community development. And so I took a lot of nonprofit management courses in college, did a lot of internships there. That was my dream of like inner city nonprofit work. So I had a lot of like head knowledge on how to do some stuff, but no real hands-on knowledge. I had served on a nonprofit board once, but it was an international thing. It was a US based nonprofit, but their work was done in Liberia, Africa. So not a lot of experience in what I was actually trying to do. So I did a lot of research, tried to find other organizations that did what we're now doing. And I could not find any in the entire US. I'm not saying they don't exist, but in my research, I could not find another organization that provided a professional service without requiring a specific fee and a model or an equation on how to fill that gap well. Or not even well, just fill the gap, meet the quota. So I couldn't find it. So to be honest, it was a lot of prayer and a lot of conversations with people. So I knew I needed to find a board. And to be honest, like this is 2020, 2021, when all this was starting for me. And my goal was not to start anything until 2026. Because like I wanted to be more seasoned as a therapist. I wanted to grow as a leader. Because if I do something, if you know me, if I do something, I do it right. And I'm going to do it right. Or I'm not going to do it. So I did not feel ready at the time. And so my plan was like, this is still long term. I'm excited and motivated and so passionate I could start today. But like, you need more than emotion to start a business or a nonprofit, you know, all that. So, so a lot of conversations. I started just really thinking and like praying through who I wanted our board members to be. And I'll be honest with you, prayer, obviously, I've mentioned it a few times, is a priority for me. And so faith is very important for me and my family. So that's how we kind of set out in pursuing this. I started praying, and I just asked the Lord for some names of board members, of people, because I knew the people in my life. I knew my family and my friends. And to be honest, none of them were like at the professional level I needed to assemble a board, a nonprofit board. So I felt like I was given about 3 names, and they were people that I knew their faces, but I didn't know them personally. I knew them of the community. They are members of the community. I know who they are, but like I have no personal connection to them. And so I assembled a lot of courage a few different times and approached these people and, you know, had that weird conversation of like, you don't know me and I don't really know you, but I have this idea. And I had written up a document and as a PDF of the idea of the Freedom Center. And, you know, to be honest, I get asked a lot, like how I came up with the name. I don't remember. It's always been the Freedom Center. Like, I don't remember the moment it was like, yeah, we're going to call it the Freedom Center. It was just always been. But I had this document, and it was just my Freedom Center document. And I started handing it out to these very specific few people that I felt were laid on my heart to be on our board, or at least help me get started. So we did that, and we started meeting, and word kind of spread. We did all the logistics of reaching out to an attorney to help us get IRS level 501c3 status, because that is not an easy task. I felt like I could do it by myself, but if I made one mistake, it would take, 12 to 16 months to do it all over again. So we got an attorney to do that for us. We did all that. And then word kind of spread. Like, I did not set out to announce it because, like I said, my goal is still 2026. But yeah, word spread. And I started sharing it more publicly. Came to realize our timeline was much faster than 2026. And we became 501c3 established in April of 2022. We found where we're at now. We started leasing our space in September of 2022. And we opened for therapy officially in June of 2023. And so if somebody wants me to give them just like a step-by-step model of how you open a place like this, I don't know that I can do it. I can give very broad steps that you could probably Google and find also. A lot of it came together outside of my control from the community. And so I now know, and what my vision and my goal is to provide such a specialty professional service without requiring a specific fee to make sure we make payroll or make sure that, you know, these very professional therapists who are very good at their job are getting paid what they deserve to be paid. Like, the only way that's ever going to happen, if we keep to our model, is with partnerships with our community. And that makes so much sense because that's how we started. Like, the community, people started approaching me, knowing I grew up here. People know my maiden name, like, and they would approach me, and people I hadn't talked to in years, or some people I didn't even know, and they knew I was the Liz with the Freedom Center before the Freedom Center was even had a logo. And it was just amazing, just the backing that we got in the very beginning, and even now. How we got started was, I feel like, I don't think this is over dramatic to say, it was a community movement, that people got behind this idea of like, wow, yeah, that's a need. And it spread. And so that's what I think sped up our timeline of like, okay, this is a bigger need, and there's really no reason we can't start sooner other than I don't feel ready, like equipped as a leader or, you know, person, but put that aside, like we technically could. And so we did. And we've definitely made mistakes. We've definitely done some things wrong. We've experienced a lot of growing pains. But even despite all of that, the links and the ways that we have grown and expanded, and not even 2 years, we're a year and a half old. We're approaching our 2 years in June this year. Like, is just beyond, like, where we are now, I thought we would be in 5 years, and we're here a year and a half. And so it scares me to think what 5 years down the road looks like. Scares me and excites me, but it's just like a wow, like I don't know because we're doing things now, offering services now I never thought we would. We're operating at a level that I didn't anticipate us operating at today. Like I said, 5-10 years from now maybe, but not today. So yeah, so a lot of people in our community just got behind a pretty good idea and believed in it, and we made it happen. The initial role that the Bethany Legacy Grant played in us opening when we did and starting, is the role, is the only role that influenced, I shouldn't say that, the biggest role that influenced our start date and our opening date of June of 2023. And how that kind of came about was, it would have to have been the fall of 2022. And that's when Bethany Legacy was started, at some point in 2022. And I remember they did a meet and greet with Dora at the Red Bicycle Hall, and I could not be there. I had a session. I worked those evenings, and so I could not be there. So one of our initial board members and volunteers went and met her, I think shared my card with her, and just that. So I was like one in probably a million cards that she received that night. The whole community was there trying to introduce themselves to Dora. And but a connection was made. And so at some point we were introduced, Dora and I, on a shared email. Somebody had emailed her and tagged me on it, copied me on it, and said, hey, I think you guys need to meet, whatever. So we did. I ended up having a one-on-one coffee meeting with Dora. I don't remember, September, October of 2022. And I thought it was just a meeting. Like, she's going to meet who I am. I'm meeting who she is, all that kind of stuff, learning a little bit about Bethany Legacy. Because I couldn't be at that meeting. I didn't know everything about them. And I left that coffee meeting, and she said, I think we can help you. She said, I'll be in touch. And what had happened during that coffee meeting, she was just basically asking who we were, what we're doing, and what we need, like immediately. And so I told her, you know, we do have the 501c3 status. We have a board. We're ready to go. We're actively fundraising, but the amount of money we need to renovate our space, it's going to take we're brand new, you know, our donors it's a very small number. It's going to take us years and years to get to fundraise on our own, the amount of money that we need. And I knew our eligibility for grants at that point, it wasn't, you know, zero, but being brand new, we have no financial records to show that we're worthy of grants, you know. It's just, unless there's startup grants out there. And at the time I wasn't aware of them. I just knew it would take a while for us to get the funding we needed. But we left that meeting and she was like, no, I think we can help you. And I want to say long story short, but it was just a very short amount of time and not a big story. She emailed me. She needed to know exactly how much we needed for our renovations. I sent it to her. And by the end of that year, December 2022, we received the grant to do the renovations. And I remember, like, she called me. She was very personal. And that's something I never experienced even in my time at internships in college with nonprofit management. Like, I've never interacted with grant committees or, a CEO of a grant committee foundation being so down to earth and personable. We had each other's personal numbers, at the time. And so it was just like, she just called me, asked me some questions, some clarifying questions, whatever, a few times, then called me and told me, yeah, we're granting this to you. And I think we were the very first grant that Bethany Legacy ever gave. And I remember she told me that, and I'm like, what? Like, I was just blown away. Like, are you sure? like, I don't know. I was just, the amount of belief and faith that she and just the Bethany Legacy Committee and Board put in us from day one, like, I never took lightly. And so, and I never will. Like, if the day that happens, I need to be removed because that is just, it was just mind blowing to me, So without that, I don't know that we would even be open yet, because it was just a lot of work that needed to be done. The space we renovated is an old elementary school building, over 100 years old. We're on the very top floor of it, and it was just full of extremely large classrooms and an auditorium. So no office spaces for a small, intimate therapy session setting. So a lot of work needed to be done. And yeah, I don't even know that we would be there yet. So incredibly grateful, incredibly just mind blown that we were chosen and that we were trusted with that, with their very first grant. And so it was the role, the most influential role in getting us started, especially in June of 2023, because yeah, it was the end of, so we had 6 months. It was the end of 2022, and then we opened 6 months later. So we have grown a ton since we opened. And as far as the number of people we're serving, it does fluctuate. But I can tell you on average, we have about 55 to 60 clients a month that we're serving. And many of those clients we're seeing weekly, weekly or every other week. We have implemented some groups. So we do have a new partnership now with the Jeff House, a local transitional living organization for men. And we have a program with them now where we offer them group therapy once a week. And so that's 20 men in recovery coming every single week to us for those recovery services. We have a grief support group we have now every single week on Mondays that our Hub of Hope initiates. And there's, 6 to 8 people that come to that every single week. And so those 20 men and those 6 to 8 people are not included in the 57 therapy clients that we have. And yeah, and so, whenever we have random events, like we're starting an art class once a month, it's a form of art therapy. It's a creativity that inspires some hope to heal in different things. We're starting that. Those aren't clients. So when I say 57 therapy clients, like those are people who are coming for therapy and having sessions, but the amount of people that the Freedom Center is actually interacting with and serving is larger and continues to grow. So it's really amazing. And I will say we have a wait list in our therapy department right now. We're working on trying to get some funding to increase our therapist hours to full-time or even hire more people on because yeah, we have a small, it's not too big, a small wait list of clients right now. So that number is always growing, it seems. So what makes the Freedom Center unique in how we serve is we pride ourselves in our principle and our core value of we don't turn anyone away based on their ability to pay for therapy. We do have a fee, and we ask clients to pay what they can afford. And so nobody is ever paying more than they can afford to pay for their sessions. And we pride ourselves in that because that is our aim and our model to be as affordable and accessible as possible. and to remove that financial barrier and that burden from people in our community. No one's getting turned away based on their ability to pay. So if a client comes to us or a family comes to us and they can't afford anything for a time, we will see them for free for about 6 to 8 sessions. And then once those 6 to 8 sessions are done, we have a conversation with them to see if their financial situation has changed at all and encourage them to pay something towards their sessions. So still, if our fee is $90, we're very transparent about that. It's a very affordable therapy session fee. And so, some people, we do have a number of clients who pay the full fee. Most of our clients don't pay the full fee, but they pay something. So still there's a gap. There's a gap there. And so how we fill that gap, or my aim, I can't say it's 100% filled. It's not really ever. So leap in a prayer every month, every day. But how I'm aiming, especially this year, my goal for 2025 is to increase the number of community partnerships that we have. So that really is a community effort to provide quality professional therapy. Every single one of our therapists is a master level licensed therapist or board certified counselor. So it's not, when you come here, you're getting professional services. And so it's a community effort. We got to fill that gap. So I want to increase the amount of community partnerships that we have, whether that's just donors or sponsors of some sort, or we partner with your business to where you as an employer can provide sessions for your employees. And so, the more businesses we can get to do that in town, we're going to be reaching, a large percentage of our community who are employed locally, who can have therapy at a discounted rate if their employer can pay a percentage of it. So we got to fill that gap, but that's what sets us apart. We're never going to bill you. We're never going to make you pay, and we're never going to turn you away if you can't pay anything. We're here. We want to meet you. Something we say a lot is we want to meet our clients where they are emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and financially. We want to meet you where you are. Otherwise, if we expect you to meet us where we are, we're not serving you. We're expecting you to serve us. And so we're never going to put finances or money ahead of client. Everything we do is client focused, healing focused, trauma informed. There's a lot, in the past year and a half. I think there's several minor and mini moments that are just like, man, yeah, this is what it's all about. This is it. But I will say recently for me, since we've started this program with the Jeff House, and that's something, that I never intended on doing. Addiction and recovery is not my wheelhouse. It's not something that I've, was super passionate about being able to offer, because there are services in town that already offer specific IOPs and different recovery services and different things. But since we've entered into that program with them, those guys, being able to level with them and speak with them and just hear from them, their stories and their life stories and how they have come to this point of being in the Jeff House and being with Brian. And so a little bit of backstory with this program. We have an intern. The Freedom Center has our very first intern, graduate level. He's in his master's program, and he's getting some of his internship hours with us. So I'm his supervisor. He is helping lead, and I've kind of given him the lead on this program with the Jeff House. And this intern, his degree will be in clinical addiction counseling, and that will be his license when he gets licensed when he graduates next year. So I oversee it all, and I'm there, but I let him kind of lead it. And so this story is kind of twofold. To see those guys from the Jeff House come and just share their story and their heart and their desire to recover and live in recovery successfully, for themselves, but for their family, for their kids, I can see a switch in them, because I've had interactions with the Jeff House in the past, and I've been able to see a switch in these guys. Like, there is now a hope for the future in them. Like, it's not even that they believe that they have a future, but they believe in themselves to get there. And that's new for me when I'm interacting with these guys, and the recovery cafe downstairs or different things in the parking lot. Like, we've interacted with them quite a bit in the past, but to be with them in a group therapy setting and to hear them and talk with them about they're just really, they believe in themselves. And I think that speaks a lot to the Jeff House and to Brian himself, the director there. But I think just giving them this space to in therapy here at the Freedom Center and letting our intern really thrive as a leader, as a group facilitator for them. That's a lot of what the Freedom Center, like that's my heartbeat. I think getting people in positions to help them thrive. And so with my clients, it's like, yeah, we want to get you to a place where you believe in you as much as I believe in you to meet your goals and to do what you need to do. And so when I get to see my staff members do that, that's amazing. And then when I get to see my staff members do that for our clients, that's even more amazing. So it's just like that's the flow, that's the rhythm we want to have, is hope is being sparked, hope for the future, believing in yourselves, different things like that. It's always a joy too when we have clients, we have kids who come up and they run and they hug their therapist when they get here. Like, the therapist meets them in the waiting room and they hug them. Like, that's always warm to me too, to watch, like, okay, that's my staff member and that's our client. Like, they're eager to be here, they want to be here. And when I know they have that bond with their therapist of like, their therapist believes in them, they have that relationship, like, that's going to be a success story when they're finished, because our therapists are present and they're there for them. So the partnerships that we have with our law enforcement agencies and then the youth shelter is essentially, so with law enforcement, that was a really cool program we got to enter into with them. When we first started, within that, I think it was within the first few months that we opened, we got that program with them. And so they are provided for through a grant from Bethany Legacy to the law enforcement agencies, to have access to therapy sessions for all law enforcement officers and jailers in our community. So they come to us once a year for an annual check-in, which is not a normal therapy session. It's very low key. It's just a check-in to see how they're doing, how they're navigating, coping with any stress, or anything like that. And then if they are a part of any sort of critical incident, which is anything, there's very specific criteria, but anything really above and beyond what a normal call would be, if they're a part of that, they're required to come to one critical incident debrief session with us here. It's just a post-traumatic event check-in to make sure they're doing okay. We'll monitor, just reactions and triggers and different stuff like that. And then they are offered personal sessions to have throughout the year to use as they want throughout the year. And all of those sessions for these officers are completely confidential. Their departments don't have any access to our records or anything outside of what we're legally required to report. So it's safe for them. And so that's been my heart, to cultivate a safe space for them and to remind our officers that they are human, that some things that they see and deal with, especially with our suicide rate here in our community, in our region, and the number of car accidents we have because we have crazy hills and roads, like, they see things that are very unique to our community, and we are a small community. So the likelihood of these officers driving up onto a scene or a home and them knowing these people, or at least knowing who they are because of our small community, is pretty high. And they can build up resistance to that. That's the jobs, what I signed up for. Absolutely, 100%. And in some ways I can relate, but in a lot of ways, most ways I cannot relate to what they do. But just reminding them that you're human, and trauma is trauma, and stress is stress, and no one is exempt from those things, regardless of your job or your personality or the way your brain is wired. So just reminding them of that and letting them know that it's okay to be human. Remember that you are, and let yourself be human. So just creating that safe space. And what I've seen is, from my perspective, obviously they could be lying to me, but from my perspective, the officers are really appreciative of this program. When they come in here, that's something I always ask them is, what's your perspective of it? Do you think this is needed or unnecessary? And 9 times out of 10, they're all like, no, this is definitely needed. Some more than others need this, but something that we all kind of hit on is, if this program continues every single year, it's going to just become the norm for any new hires that come in, new officers that come in. It's just going to be part of their career. They're not going to have a career where this wasn't part of it. So it's going to become a normal. It's going to become normal for them to prioritize their mental and emotional health, and as it should be, as they serve our community in ways that I never will, and I don't want to. But that's why they're here, you know. So it's just I have a heart for, you know, if I could pick one population of clients to work with for the rest of my life, it would be young women, young to middle-aged women, and law enforcement or any sort of first responder. So that's kind of my heartbeat too, to work with these law enforcement officers, because the things that they see and have to do on a daily basis, I don't think we really recognize, especially in a small community. And then the youth shelter is very similar. They received a grant from Bethany Legacy, I believe. And so all of their staff members have access to therapy sessions here. And so, again, completely confidential from the youth shelter as an organization, their bosses, anything like that, everything stays here. And so they have a very taxing job as well, working with the youth and the kids that they do. And so, again, just reminding them that they're human and it's okay. And their job is not easy. Even if you love it, it's not easy. And just making it safe to just admit that and work through the things they may need to work through. So we're really proud of that one as well. So I mentioned the Jeff House. I'm really proud of that as well. I don't believe that was Bethany Legacy funding, but it was Bethany Legacy has also been very a part of their journey and introducing and different things like that. So we're really proud of the Jeff House being able to, because to my knowledge, I don't believe the Jeff House has ever had therapy or mental health incorporated into their programming. And I think if our expectation is to, and our goal is to help people maintain long-term recovery, you got to include the mental health piece. You got to include the trauma-informed aspect to, you know, to their addiction. And so I'm really proud that we now have that. And so we do groups with them, but they also have access to individual sessions if they want that, the guys at the Jeff House. And then, like I said earlier, you know, we're starting to have conversations with local businesses and companies about providing some sort of, to some degree, therapy sessions for their employers. And so that's a goal of mine throughout this year and next, is just to increase the amount of partnerships we have with employers to just continue to fill that gap within our community. You don't have to cover the whole fee, but they can cover a good amount of it. And then that way the client is only responsible for a very small number. So yeah, so that's my goal. But yeah, I'm proud of that model. And I think to get anything done in a healthy way, you need to be partners. You got to partner with people to do it. And so I think that is, that's the angle that we're striving for, is just to partner with as many individuals and people and companies and churches and organizations as possible that believe in what we're doing. So what's next for us is, I don't know. I think I have an idea of where I want to go or where we want to go. But every time I have an idea and I say it out loud, something different happens. And so I don't have a very specific road that I feel like, yeah, this is we're on and this is our destination. I do feel like this year of 2025 is going to be a year of getting settled in who we are as an organization, within our identity and the services that we provide. I feel like we now have a solid foundation of our departments. So we have the Freedom Center, and the Freedom Center has 3 main departments. We have our therapy department, we have our Hub of Hope, which is our suicide prevention and grief support, and then we have our living room, which is our prayer room. And so now that we know we have our 3 main departments, we can start to develop identities of each. I mean, they're pretty well developed, but continue to develop them and flesh them out. And so just becoming more settled in who we are. Long term, I would love to see us have a larger number of therapists here, a very well-rounded, strong team of therapists who are amazing at what they do. And I know there's I know the world believes there's a therapist shortage. I don't know that I believe that. I think there's a shortage in people who are willing to work in specific systems and models of how agencies are run. So I really believe there are therapists out there and very local who believe in our model and what we're doing, what sets us apart. So in a perfect world, if I had all the funding and didn't have an issue, I would hunt those people down and I would really try to win them over. We to have a well-rounded group of men and women therapists is what our community needs. And so I think that's where we're at now. We're already meeting a need in theory. We offer really good therapy services to our community, but every therapist is different. And so I want to build a team of therapists who, my coworker may do therapy very different than me, but we're both very good at it. And so that way, when clients come in, we can pair them with a therapist that's going to do best with them, that's going to take them further than any other therapist can, because that therapeutic relationship is going to be the strongest than any other that they would have. So having a well-rounded, diverse team. I don't want a team of 20 people. I think my cap would be 8 therapists total. 20 years from now, I don't see us having more than 8 therapists as a team. But 8 full-time therapists can serve a large number of people. If our full-time caseload is 25 sessions a week, you have 8 of those, that's a lot of people. I don't do math that fast, but that's a lot of people. So that's my goal. And I don't know my timeline on that, because I want to say in 5 years, I'd like to see that. But every time I've said that, it happens in 1 or 2 years. So that would be amazing if we had that ability, that funding, and that the means to do that. We now have the physical space to do that. So this most recent grant we got from Bethany Legacy was to finish our renovations of the floor. So we now have more offices and different things to be able to house future staff members when we get them. So now, if I had the means, the financial means to hire them and serve them well, that's where I want to go. Just to be able to meet our community where they are, even better than what we can do now. So the legacy I would hope that we leave in our community is our 3 main, I think I've been calling them our pillars, because we have core values and they're not our core values, but there's 3 statements that we say a lot and that we put on a lot of our branding. And that is: hope is real, healing can happen, and love is deserving. And so if you don't have hope, if you don't believe that there is hope for anything to change or get better, healing is going to be really hard to come by, because it's not just going to happen to you. You got to have hope that it can happen. And then to walk through to your healing is the next level, right? So you got to have hope that is real. Hope is real. Healing can happen. You got to believe it can happen. And then everyone deserves to be loved. Love is deserving. There's no no one is exempt from being loved, feeling loved, knowing that they're loved. And so in everything that we do, if we can embody those 3 statements well, exceedingly well, exceptionally well, the legacy I feel like that would leave is just, feeling secure and grounded and comforted, and knowing that there's compassion for you and hope for you, that you would be seen and known if we live out these 3 statements well in our services and the Freedom Center that we do those 3 statements well. I think people will just feel known and seen, and that's what matters. And that's what makes us human, reminds us, okay, we're a person and we matter. I would honestly say take it slow. I think a lot of the times I meet people, and even I've been this way in my past. I have an idea and I know it's good, so I'm going to run with it immediately. But we don't lay a foundation. I think if you have an idea and you know there's a need, that need probably isn't going anywhere. You'll still get to meet it, but you don't want to make promises too soon, and you don't want to start doing things without a foundation. Because if you start building and you don't have a foundation, there's nothing for it to stand on. It's going to fall. The first weather element that we have, the first breeze of wind or rain or whatever, it's going to fall. So do your homework and due diligence. Make sure you have the right team. Don't just fill spots with warm bodies. Make sure you have the people who believe in what you're doing and are committed to it and are willing to sacrifice some level for it. Yeah, you want to build your team and you want to take things slow, because if you don't, you're going to make a lot of promises, or you're going to paint this really cool vision and dream, which is a beautiful thing, but it's going to be hollow if you don't take the time to build it up. And so I think that's a good, like, just part of leadership 101, maybe 102, is just to take it slow and believe in what you're doing, and let it build itself to a degree. You're the leader and you take the lead, but you can't do it alone. So being a leader is not about doing things on your own and being the face of something. To lead, you got to lead people. You got to have people around you that you're leading and that you're pouring into and investing in. Have that team so that you can build something together. Is crucial. You gotta, and a lot of times that comes down to your board. Your board will can make or break you, I think, as a nonprofit. And so that is the most important piece, I think, in building a nonprofit, is making sure that your team, your board, is solid, and full of professionals who know their career, who know their area of specialty, but also have the heart for what you're doing. So they have the mind and their career and their specialty, they know what they're doing, but their heart is for you and what you're doing. And so that together is just, you can't not succeed if that's the kind of team that you have assembled. Just thank you. Definitely to Bethany Legacy, and to Dora, for sure, and Ronnie and Morgan, like everyone at Bethany Legacy is just so down to earth and personable and amazing, unlike any other foundation or grant committee that I've ever encountered, or even business that I've encountered. So I'm incredibly grateful to them and their support and their partnership, and definitely also to our community, for believing in what we're doing, for backing us, from the beginning and even to now. And yeah, I'm just grateful that we're here and doing what we're doing.